Hey, it's Banjo-Kazooie music. What do you know? The obscure law of lava, whiz. Don't know who Wiz is, but they got it. ToT, you sounded like you sounded a bit like Sans. Don't mind me, just gonna hit him with the old. What have I come across? You've come across a stream. Streamed by a man who is not a professional streamer. Huh. Hey, it's Victor. Hey, ToT, haven't caught a stream in a while. What's your favourite Thomas engine? If you've read the Railway series, the one story called Gordon Goes Foreign, there's a locomotive that turns over in the yard. It just falls on its side, and so Gordon has to take the express to the mainland. That engine, the one that falls on its side. D-Man with 5 gifted memberships. Train of thought, by the way, what do you think of the art I made of you as a Sans-like character who uses rail spikes in place of bones? Dope! It was pretty dope. Honestly, anyone making fan art of me is fucking great. I love it. A lot of people are asking me questions to start off this stream, which is what we're here for today. Because usually whenever I start a stream, it takes me like, 20, 30 minutes to actually get to the game, because people in chat are like, oh, ToT, what's your favourite this, and what's your favourite that, and like, what's your opinion on the current political crisis? And I would go, oh boy, that's a heavy thing you're asking me to answer there. And so now I've decided, screw it, we're going to have a dedicated stream. Once my roommate stopped coughing, gonna have a dedicated stream to answering all of your questions, or as many as I can. So let me... 1 second. Let me just boost up the game real quick. How do I... I'm trying to remember how I make a lobby in this game. It's been a while. It's not unlisted, it's a private lobby. Boy, you can tell it's been a while since I've played this game. Because I think, how do I make a lobby with a code? I make it a public lobby, but then I don't get an option to... I appreciate all the donos and people talking in chat, but I genuinely have no idea how to create a lobby in this game. Oh, you have to create the lobby and then find the code in the menu. Okay, never mind. So I have it as private lobby. There we go. Need some WD-40 on those hinges. Maybe we do. Let me go into the settings. Let me increase my mouse sensitivity a little bit. And get the volume up so we can actually... let's turn it down a touch. That's a nice ambience. It is for me at least. I don't know if you can hear it, chat. Oh, let me turn it all the way up to... Does that interfere? No, I'll turn it down to here, because that's what it was on before. How do I find the lobby code? That's invite friends. I don't want to do that. I'll figure it out in a minute. Right now, we're here to fish. Let me get some bait. Oh yeah, and I caught a turtle earlier, just as I was getting ready to start streaming. So let's up on this bridge and start fishing. And while we're fishing, let's have a look at what chats say. Thoughts on them releasing a new Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. I'm actually going to watch it myself later tonight. I've heard good things about it. I've looked up some reviews, and honestly, it's... Yeah, no, it's... I've heard good things about it. I do want to go see it. I've heard... Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's one of those internet things. I've heard that a lot of theatres are pulling... The Day the Earth Blew Up, they're pulling that film early so they can do showings of Snow White, because, you know, it's a big Disney movie and I think it's Easter holidays around the corner, so obviously everyone's getting ready for Snow White. And, you know, I used to work in a cinema, that used to be what they did. So, I don't know if a lot of theatres near me are going to still be showing it. There's definitely one in the city centre of Manchester that will probably be showing it, but I don't know, I'm very interested. And like I said, I've heard nothing but good things. Oh, here we go. Oh, come on. Nah, I lost it. It's been a while since I've played this. I've lost my A game. Boo. not train related, but the dev for Decimate Drive is thinking about making a sequel. If it comes to fruition, would you ever consider playing it since you seem to like the first one? Yeah, Decimate Drive, it was a fun stream. Not to get anyone's hopes up, but I have started working on turning that into a VOD. It's been a while since I've touched the edit. It's one of those things where it's like I start working on something and then halfway through something comes up, I start working on something else. What do I caught? I caught an old boot. Hooray. Yeah, I'd consider it. I'd consider playing it. But have you any model railway? I don't personally model railways. I have some Lego train stuff. I've done streams where I've built some Lego train stuff. I've got a Lego Orient Express set. Oh, I caught a carp. Let's switch out... How do I switch out my bait? I keep forgetting how I switch out the bait on this thing. Tackle box is the top right. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the doy. It's fish with crickets. Like I said, it's been a while since I've played this game. Also, I think I've started this as a private server, which is why I don't think there's a listing for a join code. I'll start up another one later, and we can all have... You can all tag along. It'll be a train of thought, a fishathon. Parkour. There we go. Spot on. But yeah, no, I don't have any model railway stuff personally. I like getting out my Lego stuff every now and then and just playing about with it, but I don't actively go out of my way to, you know, recreate a branch line or build my own functioning railway system. Something I would love, though, is I'd love... I know Mamod have gone out of business, but I'd love to have one of those, like, Mamod live steam locomotives, because they look... I used to know someone who had them, and a bunch of, like, MSS ones. It was fun. Because I think I might have said I've got like one of those little Mamod live steamrollers. Hold on, let me turn the music off. We don't want no music. We just want to hear the sweet, sweet sounds of fishing. That's my thing on model railways, at least. Bait seller looks like Red from Animal Crossing. Thanks for the dono. I don't know what to ask, but here, have my money. Thank you, Victor. What's this game called? I might join if I can find the game. Yeah, and everyone just responded with web fishing. Oh boy. The Warrior Cat. Thank you for the donation. First donation on the stream. Uh, what led to the well-deserved increase in people making avatars and fan art for you in stream highlights? Wasn't around last stream, was a bit out of the loop. I think it's just we were talking about Galaxy Express and someone... We mentioned Galaxy Express and there have been some people who have essentially imagined me as one of the characters from Galaxy Express and dressed up like my little avatar in their outfit. Or made a little avatar of me in that outfit. Which is nice. I think it's only like 1 or 2 people that are actually drawing it, but I still appreciate it nonetheless. What are your favourite behemoth-sized steam engines? I remember watching your Decapod video and I was fascinated by all the giant locomotives. I have a soft spot for that Garrett built by the LNER. Because it was just used for banking. Well, let's swap out some tackle here. It was only used for banking, but it was such a behemoth of an engine, especially by like British Railways standards. I think a lot of Garretts, really. I also like massive engines that are narrow gauge. Because I think, especially when I did that video on, like, the Red Devil, you know, the idea that this engine that runs on narrow gauge rails is basically the same size as the Flying Scotsman. It's such a crazy thought. What British loco would be able to shove me in the forever box on first hit? Any, as long as they're going fast enough. Boy oh boy. I'm already falling behind on the questions. Chat is just spamming so many questions. I might have to start a separate thing for the questions and then dip in and out of that. Speaking of cars, I know getting a driver's license isn't something you're considering and not really a car guy, but is there any particular vehicle you'd like to own? You ever watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I'd love to own the car in that. Just something real old school, you know? I'd love to own that car. What will you do once you reach 100k subs? Cry tears of joy. Ignoring all the obvious answer of donating, what's the most helpful thing a fan has done for you, unprompted or otherwise? Like providing info on Loco, bringing something to attention. The most helpful thing, I can't think of a specific fan. Obviously, watching my content, big help. But I think the most helpful thing people do is recommending my videos and sharing my videos around. Because, especially when I first started doing YouTube, like, the hardest thing to do with YouTube is grow your audience. Because I've come across videos with only 2,000 views that people have obviously put weeks of effort into, in both writing the script, in the editing, recording it, every aspect of it they've put so much effort into. And they've got like 2,000 views tops. And then I've come across, you know, other YouTube channels that just make slop. like react videos and reading Reddit stories and, you know, this, that, and the other. And they're the ones getting like millions upon millions of views. And so it's very hard to like get your foot in the door to begin with. And like, even now, I know I'm sitting pretty comfortably on, what, 76k subscribers? Like, even though I've got a nice amount of people following me, more is still better. Because, you know, more people following me is more views is more money goes towards a better quality of life. I can make better videos without having to stress. You know, it's one of those things. The best thing viewers can do is encourage other people to watch my channel and engage. Because like I said, I've seen... I'm guilty of this too. People are more likely to click on a video that's got 500,000 views than they are to watch one that's only got 500 views. Because when it's got 500,000 views, there's almost like this unspoken, I don't know, like, guarantee of quality. Like, if 500,000 people can't be wrong. If you know what I mean. So I think the best thing a person can do who has helped with my channel, it's definitely sharing my videos around and encouraging other people to watch them. Also just giving me pictures, giving me video ideas. I've found recently it's becoming kind of hard to make videos on certain things. I've been meaning to do a video on the Midland Railway, the American locomotives they ordered in 1899, and I found this website that's got loads of pictures of not just the Midland Railway engines, but Great Central Railway engines that were built in America, and the ones on the Great Northern Railway that were built in America. But in very bold writing at the top, someone's put on the website, they've put, "Do not contact me. You are not allowed to copy or use these images, and please stop asking me for it." I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And so it's one of these things where it's like, well, it's next to impossible to find any good pictures of these engines, and here's like shed loads of them, and no one's allowed to touch them. Or it's also, there are more modern engines as well. Not even more modern engines. Like, sometimes it's just hard to find pictures of locomotives. Like, oh, that was quick. But like, there are some engines that I think, oh wow, that would be like really fascinating. I love this idea. I love these engines. And there's like no pictures of it. Or like 3 pictures of it total. And like 2 of them are them in a museum, preserved. And it's like, no, I want to see it in action. So, finding me good information, finding me good pictures, that's a massive help. Ooh, hold on. Hold on, I gotta reel this in. This is a big boy. I caught a crab. Hooray, I've got crabs. What else have people done to help my channel? Again, just watch my videos, donate, share them, and just give me some good stuff to do videos on. Commenting as well it's nice. I read every comment. I don't know if I've said this before. I read every comment. I don't think I read all of the replies to said comments because there's not enough hours in the day. But every day or every other day, I open up the YouTube Studio app, I click comments, and I scroll through all of them. And I don't reply. It's very rare I reply to any of them just because it's like, once you start replying, you kind of have to keep replying, and it's a lot of pressure. All the good comments, all the bad comments, I read all of them. And genuinely, you guys are so funny. And you say so many nice things. I cannot thank you enough for that. Ooh, okay, hold on. I lost where the questions are at. So I'll tell you what. I'll start a Q&A. Here we go. I've started a separate Q&A chat. So now I've got a place for all the questions, and then we've got a place for chat. So when people are talking to each other or trying to talk to me, I'm not going to lose your questions. I heard a noise, and I got a message in chat that says, "What was that?" Which, that's concerning. That is very concerning. I don't like that. And there's an exclamation mark over here. I'm going to turn in my quest on the notice board. Someone's asking, have you considered doing Thomas content? I could do Thomas content, and I'm more than capable of doing it. But I feel like that's a market that's somewhat saturated. Like, between Unlucky Tug, Max, Terrier 55... There's a bunch that I can't list them off the top of my head because I don't really watch Thomas content. But I feel like it's a market that's overly saturated, and I feel like I'm not going to add anything to that. Like, for a while I was considering doing a series of videos on, like, oh, okay, so this is the real life. This is this Thomas character in real life. This is this Thomas character in real life. And then Unlucky Tug came out with the every Thomas the Tank Engine character in real life video. So, yeah, so that kind of lost it there. One day I may do Thomas content, but it's not something I actively see myself doing. I do want to read the Railway series, though. It might be members exclusive, but I do want to read the Railway series and have me, you know, narrate the books. Because I'm debating doing that, and then if people want to... I know how a lot of people, they've used, like, the Willie Rushton readings to make, like, you know, Train Z and Train Simulator Thomas videos with. I feel like some folks would appreciate me reading that. I definitely want to get into voice acting as well. I'm meaning to make like a public announcement, but if people are looking for a voice actor, give me a bell. I can imagine I'm mostly going to get people wanting me to be Thomas characters or narrate things for them, but you know what? Paycheck's a paycheck. Hold on, let me... Thank you for the gifted memberships. A lot of gifted memberships. Sorry, I have to have a separate chat thing open to see the questions people are asking me. So if you make a donation, I'm sorry if I miss it. It is what it is. I found a 3-foot narrow gauge engine on sale in Oregon for a cool $250,000. It's green, built in 1926 by a German firm for Colombian Railway, and it's in near perfect condition. Cool. What did I miss? Not much. What do you think of the LB SCR Terriers? I like them. I think they're neat. They're just nice little tank engines. I think it's their size as well that makes them admirable. Because if you've ever seen them compared to, like, another engine, they're fairly short. They're fairly small tank engines. But that's kind of what gives them a charm. And, like, you know, the nickname Terriers, they're this little yappy engine. Like, hell, they're so small. Their running board at the front, the buffer beam is too thin. There's like, the buffer beam's like too thin for the buffers. They have to have like a little rounded bit on top, so there's enough space for the buffers to be riveted to the engine. I love it, and they're just nice little engines. I do like just simple little tank engines. Especially like smaller engines, because I always feel I get intimidated by large steam locomotives. Like, they're fascinating and they're brilliant, but I like older engines and I like tank engines, especially shunting engines, because I feel like I could build one. You know what I mean? I feel like if something broke, you give me a new set of cylinders to put on that thing, I could swap out a cylinder block on a tank engine. I probably couldn't, but I feel like I could. And that's why I've always liked tank engines, and especially older locomotives. Okay, what is making that noise? I'm just trying to fish, for God's sake. How's your week been? Been alright? Been talking about the flying buffer beam, innit? ToT, could you or will you ever do a video on European trains, such as Romanian or any from Austria, Germany or Switzerland? I do want to expand into foreign locomotives, definitely, other European engines. The issue is finding them, because when you live in the UK, I know all about the British strange engines. I know about the LMS Garretts and the Flying Buffer Beam and Big Bertha and Fury and the Hush Hush and this, that and the other. But because I'm not German or French or Italian, I don't know that much about German, French or Italian railways. And I don't know about their experimental locomotives. I don't know this, that, and the other. And what makes it harder as well is actively doing the research. When I was doing the video on the Garrett engines, the streamlined Garrett engines, I basically had the entire script done. And I thought, right, hold on, let me just double check something. And I eventually found the French Wikipedia entry for the engines. And that had a shit ton of information that I didn't find. Because the English entry for it, and all subsequent, native English entries that I'd found, weren't that detailed. But the French Wikipedia was. But in doing my research, I never came across the French Wikipedia page. And so I ended up, if you listen carefully, you can hear, I ended up cutting some sections and having to re-record some of it later on in post. Which I don't know how smooth my editing is, but I don't know. The main issue with doing videos on foreign engines, especially European engines, is simply just my lack of access to information and lack of, understanding the other countries and their rail infrastructure. Like, oh hey, caught 100 fish, nice. I know everything, well, not everything to know, that would be a bit of an exaggeration, but I know a lot about British steam engines. I don't know a lot about foreign engines. That's why I'm good at making videos about British engines, and I'm not good at making videos about foreign engines. Let's sell all of this garbage. Look at that, that's a lot of fish. You're welcome, buddy. Stock up on worms, crickets, and that. And let's get some upgrades while I'm here. Oh. Yeah, let's upgrade the camp, why not? You've unlocked a new private island prop and additional items in the shop. Neat. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Let's increase bait box, rod power, and I'm flat out of money. Let's go on a little adventure. Here we are. Okay. Favorite type of egg? Cadbury cream egg. Do you have a stuff? I have many stuff and a lot of things. Will you ever do a video on the one and only MLW M640? There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of things people want me to do videos on. And generally speaking, I like doing videos on things that have a good amount of information on them. Because people will say, oh, can you do a video on this? And I look it up and it's like, the only information is, oh, the railway wanted a shunting engine, they threw this shunting engine together, it worked for a couple years, and then it was scrapped. And that's all the information. Like, I think the example I'm going with is, you all know Pat, right? That little Irish shunting engine that was made out of like an old tender, and it worked at, you know, a colliery or a coal plant shunting around. That's it. That's all the information I can find on it. It was built out of an old tender, and it shunted around the colliery, and it worked fine for a couple of years. That is it. And there's only like 2-3 pictures of it. Ooh, wow. Nice fish. I want to do a video on it, but that's all the information I can find. And there's also a thing as well. A lot of times when someone wants me to do a video on an engine, all it boils down to is, this engine was built in this year by this railway for this purpose. It worked from this year to this year. It had no real notable accidents, and it was nearly scrapped, or it was preserved, or it was scrapped in this year. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know, it feels formulaic, if you know what I mean. I like a video to have a twist. I like there to be something unique about the engine. Like with the flying buffer beam. Yeah, that video was me saying, oh, it was built in this year for this purpose and this, that, and the other. But it looks strange. It's different. A lot of the engines people say, oh, do a video on this. Half the time it is just an engine. Oh boy, I ranked up. Let's swap my base out. So yeah, if it's worth me doing a video on, I'll do a video on it. What got you interested in trains and history of trains? Watching Thomas the Tank Engine as a kid. What can I say? Like, I loved watching Thomas the Tank Engine growing up, and there was always this fascination of how trains move across rails, and you know, points and switches always intrigued me because they're two tracks intersecting. You know, how does a train not derail on that? You know, it's... And I used to love... Ooh, big squid. You know, and I used to love Thomas the Tank Engine, and my... You know, because I like trains, my parents, my grandparents would take me to, like, you know, different railways whenever we went on holiday, and it's just a self-feeding cycle. I can't say there was, like, it's not like Spider-Man. There wasn't, like, a canon event that got me hooked on trains. It's just, yeah, I grew up with Thomas the Tank Engine, and I think trains are pretty neat. I got weed. 420 Blazer, bro. Ah! Okay. Are you going to order Extravaganza 5? I do not have the money for it. Like, if I was a richer man, maybe. But I just don't... At the moment, I just don't have the money. Ooh. Let's buy a scratch card. Let's go gambling! Hey, I got my money back. Let's go gambling. Hey, I got my money back. Let's go gambling. Oh, dang it. Right, let's keep going. Oh, I think someone's donated, so bear with me while I swap from questions to live chat. Chad Henry or Based Gordon? I instead choose the humble Percy. Boy. So yeah, no, I'm not going to the Audrey Extravaganza 5. Which, it'd be nice, but I can't... I don't even think like I could justify it as a business expense. Which, speaking of, I do need to register as a business so I can buy like new headphones and better sound equipment and get some money back on that. Favourite kind of cheese, and how often do you think you hitting your head against the wall? Can't go wrong with cheddar. Cheddar's just like the cheese. Like, good amount of flavour, goes good on a cracker, melts good. Can't go wrong with cheddar. How often do I think about banging my head against the wall? Most days. What percentage of your ideas for videos originated in the Cursed Train series? I think it's the inverse. It's definitely the inverse, because a lot of the engines in Cursed Trains, because I'm so far behind with the Cursed Trains, a lot of the engines that are cursed, I've already done a video on them. Like the Dubusquet locomotives, I did a video on those, like, long before that appeared in Cursed Trains. So I can't say a high percentage. I think what people don't realise as well... Ooh, hold on, this is a big fish. Give me the big... Yes! I caught a shark. Nice. Let's swap out for worms. Let's see what we catch with some worms here. Yeah, as much as I have, like, you know, the video suggestions section in Discord server, there is also the Steam Shed, where people just post, you know, pictures of steam engines either they've taken or they just think, oh, this is a cool engine, like, this is from my home country and railways this ran on. And you'd be surprised how many times I open that and I think, ooh, that's an interesting looking engine, I'll do a video on that. I think I ended up doing a video on... It might have been Reuben Wells, the banking engine. I might have done the video on Reuben Wells based on what I store in Steam. No, it wasn't Reuben Wells. It was the O10Os that worked under the river between Canada and America. Can't for the life of me remember, but the tunnel engines. I saw those in the Steam Shed chat, and I thought, oh, those are interesting. I'll do a video on those. And so it's not necessarily... sometimes I see a pretty engine and I think, video. Do you recall the puppet stuff I showed off last stream? Would you consider making a video on that, or at least the live-action adaptation of the book? Posted in movie suggestions a while back. Maybe. I do want to start covering more train-related media at some point. Like I said, I do need to do a video on Unstoppable, but I'm struggling to find a copy of it. Because I need to be able to download it so I can, use the footage in editing. That's what I'm struggling to get a copy of. I'm trying. Lord knows I'm trying. What's a piece of literature that you've read / listened in which we should all check out? Ooh. What's a good piece of media I've tapped into recently? I can't think off the top of my head. Oh wow, that was instant. I think I've definitely professed my love for the Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds. I think I've banged that drum to death. If you've watched any of my streams and asked what kind of music I listen to, Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds, absolutely phenomenal album. Go listen to it. But actual literacy and media, I don't read a lot because I'm a dumbass. It has been a while since I've truly watched anything. Primal, definitely. Me and my roommate watched a few episodes of Primal a couple weeks ago. And for those of you who don't know, it's made by Gennady Tartakovsky, same guy that made, Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls. I think he made the Powerpuff Girls as well. It's about this caveman and a dinosaur basically together going on adventures through this caveman world, I guess, in primitive Earth. But there's no dialogue. It's all told with visuals and the music and the animation. And it is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. But yeah, no, I don't really read too much, which I definitely should. I know, I watch a lot of YouTube. I guess. I've not really watched that much TV. And I don't really read that much, so I'm an idiot. How long would Mallard last if you dropped out of a bomber going at max speed? Not long, I imagine. Did you know CFR, Romania's rail network, used 2 locomotive classes for its entire fleet for the past 30 years until recently? But they only had 2 types of locomotive working on their railways. It's either good or passengers. Is either freight or passengers. Is how it works in Romania. My girlfriend wanted to ask, if you were a train, which one would you be? Well, a train is not just the locomotive, but all of the carriages and wagons that make up it. That's the train is the entire entity, not just the locomotive. So if you're asking what kind of locomotive I would be, I do love a crane tank. I do love a crane tank. I love a good pannier tank. As I said, I love me my tanks. Ooh, well, yeah, no, definitely a pannier tank. I don't know why, I just like pannier tanks. I've got a soft spot for them. Ooh. Did you know that there was at least one person on the set of Unstoppable who believed they were the first people in to film a train derailment on camera? The general ignorance is so crazy, bro. Yeah, train crashes have always been a thing. You find that a lot with media, especially movies, because like whenever the marketing department wants to build hype around something, they'll say, "This is the first movie to have this in." Like, you know how there's been like 18 Disney movies that have had like their first LGBT character in it? You know what I mean? Like, it's always marketing, and generally people who get like too swept up in making the movies are like, yeah, this is the first time we've ever done anything like this on film. And it's like, no, I'm fairly certain it's been done before, just not the way you've done it. What's your go-to Tesco meal deal? I do love a wrap. I love a fridge milkshake. And as for the crisps, I generally tend to go for cheese and onion. I remember in the early days of your channel, Trainboy shouted you out once pre-collab. How much do you reckon that helped? Also, I found your channel before you even mentioned it in a video, #OG. Appreciate you sticking around all this time, D-Man. I can't remember when he shouted me out. If someone could give me an exact date, that would be appreciated. Because it's bringing back memories now. I remember... I remember when he dropped that video. I can't for the life of me remember which video it was. Was it the Thomas the Tank video? I think it might have been the Thomas the Tank video. And he shouted that out. One of my early videos. I don't know how much that helped. I'd have to go back and look over statistics. So I can't give you exact numbers. I imagine it did help, but exact numbers, I can't help you there. I do remember, I think it was a couple of weeks after I started my channel. It was like 2 or 3 months after I started my channel. By the beginning of July, I was like at 900 subscribers. By the end of July, I had hit 10k. I don't know if that was thanks to Trainboy's shout out or whether or not my channel just exploded. I don't know, but I still remember that vividly, and it's still unbelievable that happened to me. So thank you all for being here. How's your St. Patrick's Day? Just another Monday, really. Don't really celebrate St. Patrick's. I know a lot of the pubs had, like, you know, the orange, green, and white balloons outside, but nah, I don't really celebrate St. Patrick's. Although, tell you what, to make up for it, any Irish viewers watching, to make up for it, I'll indulge in cultural stereotype and I'll just have a swig of this toffee liqueur that I keep under my desk. I forgot how strong that was. Jesus. Oh. So, sorry I didn't celebrate St. Patrick's Day. If you're that bothered by it, I hope that me drinking has made good. I think you do good in voice acting. Every time I watch your videos, you get... your voice really gets me captivated in the video. Why, thank you, Coral Snake 22. I'm glad I have the voice I have. I'm very glad. I do think I might need a bit of, like, voice acting training, like some coaching, just, like, vocal techniques that aren't gonna, like, fry my vocal cords. Ways to, like, warm up my voice and, like, treat it properly after I rest. Nailing certain accents. I don't know. I do need a bit of training with it. That's the hardest part of voice acting is getting work. Because I've done a lot of looking into voice acting, because even before I started YouTube, I wanted to voice act. It's a very saturated industry with a lot of people who are like, ooh, I want to voice act, ooh, I want to voice act. So obviously you can't just get into it. And it's also very much the case of, why would I go actively scouting out a new person to voice act in my thing when I already know someone who can do the voice I want? You know what I mean? It's a hard industry to get into. But I would more than love to get into it. Is fishing in this game frustrating as bollocks? Not really. I've got an upgrade on my rod, which means that That means I can just keep talking, and I can start reeling in when I'm ready. Which, by the way, this looks like a big boy. Yeah. Give me my fish. Give me my fish. Is a shark. Nice. Yeah, this is a fun game. I like it. What is the best planet? Probably Neptune. Can't go wrong with Neptune. Hi, would you and your friends do a boating holiday similar to the special from the Grand Tour? I'd love for me, Mike, and River to all pile into a canal boat and do a vlog of us just going up and down, like, the Manchester shipping canal. That would be phenomenal. Oh, I'd love it. Am I the only person who thinks the Terriers are the cutest tank engines? They're adorable. Not a question, but it's a meteor. That's what you heard in the game. Okay, so I need to go over to where I hear the bangs and grab some meteor chunks. If you want to talk about Foreign Steam, I highly recommend doing a collab with Liam's Foreign Steam. He did a collab with Amtrak Guy recently, and he really knows his obscure engines. Just consider it. Yeah. Oh no, I've not got any bait. One sec, let me reel in my rod because I've not got any bait. If they want to do a collab, I'll more than happily do a collab. I mean, I've done it with Heist, I've done it with Train Boy. Can't argue. What's your favourite engine design that sounded good on paper but turned out really bad in practice? Ooh. Oh, where do you begin? Oh man. Fury just really wicking up the pressure in the boiler and it explodes and kills a guy. Hush Hush. Great engine. Oh man, I'd have to go through my videos and just a refresher because I have the memory of my brain as a colander. But like, there are so many amazing engines that turned out to be like oh my god, this would be amazing on paper. I do love the Fontaine engine, and I love the Holman engines as well. Because they're just scams. The Holman engines especially. They're just scams. That's all they were. And I still... That video, can I say? That video has aged like a fine wine. Because I did a video on the Holman engines, and the whole point of the Holman engines was they were essentially a stock market scam. Like, someone thought, oh, this Holman thing, we'll put a locomotive on these smaller wheels, and them wheels on smaller wheels, and that'll act like a gear-up thing, so rather than it give more traction, and anyone who knows anything about engineering knows it's a pile of hokey. Absolute pile of rubbish. But they managed to convince people that, no, this is the future. This is what rail travel will be in the future. Invest in the company. And they did. And the company managed to... Oh, wow, that's a big lobster. And the company, you know, managed to avoid going bankrupt because they convinced a load of chumps to invest in them. And it's just a marvelous little video, and I made the comparison to NFTs in that video, and I got one or two people in the comments section who were a little salty about it. Where are you now, buddy? How's that monkey looking for you? Feel good now you decided to splash an entire mortgage's worth of money on a fucking digital monkey? Man, it's great. It's great. Are you going to Audrey Extravaganza? We've had someone ask that question. Boo. Here in Bosnia, we have some cursed as fuck locomotives that will make you question what the designers were smoking. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to do a video on some Bosnian locomotives. What do you think of small panniers? I love all panniers. You hear me? All panniers are equal. And I love them all. Need a shunting engine? Whoa! Got a Marlin. But yeah, no. You need a shunting engine? Pannier. Oh, we need a passenger engine? Need a passenger engine to work on this branch line? Pannier. Need something for short distance goods work? Pannier. There's the camp. You know, panniers can just do everything. I love them. Yes, what cosmetics have I got? Oh, I've got different scribble eyes. Oh, I love the eyes. Let's go with... Yeah, we go. That's more like it. Let's upgrade as well while I'm here. Oh, let me sell all my fish. Got 1,200. How much is it to... Oh, I'm so close to... Let me just catch a few more things and we're good. But yeah, no, I love panniers. Do you prefer doohickeys or doodads? Neither. I like a thingamajig. Can I recommend a non-train film? Tucker. The Man in His Dream. It's a real-life story about an entrepreneur who was screwed over by the big automakers in trying to make a better car than them. Yeah, do you know what? That sounds like a good film. If you want a good movie, I highly recommend Phantom of the Open. I don't know if I've told you about this on stream before, but there's this guy called Maurice Flitcroft, and in the 70s, he was a dockyard crane driver, and in the 70s he decided, I know, I'll have a go at playing golf. And he bought a set of mail-order golf clubs, and he borrowed a book from the local library teaching you how to play golf. And after a couple of weeks of practice, he decided to have a go at the National Open, which is the most prestigious golf event in the world. And he got the highest score ever. Which, if you don't know about golf, the lower the score, the better. And it's a true story, and it's a very fascinating story. It's a heartwarming film. I love it. Phantom of the Open. Give it a watch. It might be on BBC iPlayer. If you're in Britain or you have a VPN. On BBC iPlayer, maybe. Give it a watch. Love it. Thoughts on ships? Pretty dope. Pretty dope. What's scary about ships is how big they are, to me. Like, have you seen a cruise ship in person? I haven't. But I've seen pictures. Those things are gigantic. Like, they're basically an entire town on a boat. You know, and it's crazy. They're so big. Like, they're cool, but they're so big. Do you have a favourite Eastern European engine? I don't know enough Eastern European engines to make a decision, so I'm afraid I'll have to pass. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A woodchuck would chuck all the wood it could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Have you been looking for historians to work with to expand your research on foreign railways? I've not really been reaching out to individual people, I'll be honest. Every now and then I'll ask questions in a group chat or something, but it's rare I ever, like, reach out to individuals, because usually the stuff I make videos on, that generally tends to be, like, 100 years ago. Like, everyone that's worked with it is either dead or completely unavailable or impossible to track down. What are your thoughts on Transformers as a whole, and what's your favourite piece of Transformers media if you have one? I used to love Transformers as a kid. Like, obviously, my exposure was the Michael Bay movies. That was the first time I ever saw a Transformer. I have a couple of Transformers toys. I gave them to my cousins, which, in hindsight, I want them back. But it's like I didn't have room for them in my bedroom, and I wanted them to go to someone who would actually play with them. So I gave them to one of my cousins. I don't know if he's still got them, but if he's still got them, I'll ask for them back. I'm 50-50 on Transformers, because at the end of the day, Transformers was always a show designed to sell toys. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Optimus Prime as a character. I love he's this like big brother to all the other Transformers. I love he's like this gentle giant. You know, there are so many cool and interesting characters in Transformers, but at the end of the day, they weren't designed. They were designed for you to like them because Hasbro needed to sell toys. So I'm a little conflicted on Transformers, because at the end of the day, it's just an excuse to sell more toys. But it's also, I can't deny, there's also a significant cultural impact they have. They were massive in the 80s. Like, there's no arguing how big Transformers were. And there's genuinely some fantastic pieces of Transformers media. There's some fantastic fan films. You know, you can't argue. Transformers it's earned its place at the table, if you know what I mean. As for Transformers media, Transformers animated, it is superb from start to finish. I've rewatched Transformers Animated a couple of years ago. My God. It was doing so much interesting stuff. And Megatron in that. Just the fact that the Decepticons were they were just physically twice as big as the Autobots. Even Starscream, who is, by all means, just a random goon in the Decepticon army, physically towers over Optimus Prime in that series. And they're all so strong and menacing, and Megatron. My God. Transformers Animated Megatron. I don't know. Transformers Animated is just a goated piece of media. Transformers Prime as well. That was pretty good. I definitely prefer animated. Let's move on from the Transformers. Are you going to eventually make a mega stream catching up on Cursed Trains? My plan is, at the beginning of April, I want to do a subathon. I don't know what I'm going to make the goal. I don't know if it's for every... I'll do an hour-long stream, and for every £1 donated, the stream goes on for an extra minute. Or for every... I don't know. I'll have to look up subathons and how people do them. Because I am very tempted to just do one gigantic stream to catch up on all the Cursed Train stuff. Plus, I think it'll be fun. You see a pretty engine and think video. Down bad guy sees a goth chick and thinks wife. Caught me. Red-handed. Any railways outside the UK you'd want to visit if given the chance? I definitely want to visit some of the railways around the Alps. I definitely want to give like some of the Swiss mountain railways a go. Austrian railways. I want to see definitely a few railways in Canada and the US. I'd love to go to Indonesia or some countries that, you know, have like those sugarcane railways, because I think I brought it up on a documentary stream at one point. There's this person on YouTube that, I don't know if they work on a sugarcane railway or if they just film it, but there's this sugarcane railway in Indonesia, and it is the most rough and ready redneck railway you've ever seen. The tracks are barely straight. They are like so rough and rugged. There was a section of track that crosses a road, and obviously the local council had just paved over the road and they tarmacked over the tracks, and they just got a locomotive and they just drove over the tarmac to just break it open. Because obviously sugarcane is like a seasonal thing, they're not using the railway all year round, it gets overgrown. And rather than like, you know, like maintaining it, spraying it with weed killer and like trimming it and whatnot, they just get a locomotive and just drive over the tracks and just tear up any grass or bushes that are in the way. There's a video uploaded, I think a couple of months ago, and it just looks like a dirt track. Like, it looks like just a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and there's just a locomotive driving down it. And it's then you realise that the railway has been like covered over by like dirt and stones and muck and stuff. And they're not cleaning it off. They're not maintaining it. They're just driving the engine over it just so that like, okay, it's not going to derail. Alright, the engine's gone over it. That's cleared the way. Let's go. I'd love to go to one of those railways and just see them like, just see them operate, because what the hell kind of like, you know, I'm used to British railways. I'm used to railways, you know, being well maintained. Like even heritage railways, like even the tackiest heritage railways have like a standard to which they, you know, maintain their tracks. Here's this railway, straight up just the most redneck thing you've ever seen. It's incredible, and I love it. Also, we've got minnows, so let's see what we catch with these. What's a train? Thing with wheels, goes choo-choo. What engines are your favourite aesthetically? Pannier tanks, again, I just love their goofy nature. Certain streamlined engines. I love... Is it the New York Central Mohawks that were basically just a great big streamlined rectangle? I love those engines because they're just so like bold, very Art Deco. I caught a largemouth bass. Nice. You know, those are so fascinating. Garretts as well. I do like Garretts because they're so interesting to look at. Ignoring the obvious answers of me and Tiason, who do you think has donated the most to your channel? I think USS Salem's donated quite a lot. Can you check stream highlights real quick? I have an idea for a video. Oh, it's German locomotives. Yeah, no, again, I do want to do a video on German locomotives. I might do the locomotives used in the Second World War built by Germany, because those are always interesting. Hold on, let me just check live chat, because I think someone has donated. Oh, it's D-Man with the fun Family Guy fact. Thank you, D-Man with the fun Family Guy fact. Wow, you guys have asked so many questions. I mean, this is a Q&A stream. I don't know what I was expecting. A huge drum. Not a very huge drum, if you ask me. Thought on the Black Hill Central Railroad. I have none. Can I recommend a non-train? Yeah, you've already recommended that. Most terrifying experience you've ever had? Oh. I can't say I've lived, like, a terrifying life. I know there was... I can't remember if it was, like, post-lockdown. I think it was 2021. I just finished university with a bunch of my mates, and to celebrate, I think we'd all went to, like, a park, and we'd all got, like, disposable barbecues, and it was the summer, and we were all, you know, lighting up and lighting up barbecues, I mean. We were grilling and having fun, and there was just this random guy with us, and, like, he was there when me and my mates arrived, so we just assumed he was with someone, and apparently he'd just shown up. And, you know, we gave him some food, and he seemed talkative. And I think eventually he started getting, like, I don't know, a bit handsy with some of the girls. And we were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna head out. We're dipping. And he seemed to get, like, I don't want to say aggressive, but he definitely had, like, a bee in his bonnet. And so we grabbed... I think he had, like, a glass bottle in his hand. Oh, hang on a second. Here we go. But yeah, he had, like, a glass bottle in his hand, and as we were leaving, someone just got it out of his hand and chucked it away, and we all just kind of left. And there was, like, some guy stood behind to make sure he kept his distance. And that was... I wouldn't say that was terrifying, but it was definitely not a happy experience. I don't know what has ever truly made me feel terrified. Have I told you the story of how one of my roommates climbed through my bedroom window? Because I feel that scared the shit out of me when that happened. Okay, no, it seems that I've not told you that story. So I'll it feels like a story I would have told you at some point. So hold on, let me just swap over to live chat just so I can see your reactions to this. So first year of university. Obviously I didn't know it. I was the only person where I lived going to university. I had to move to Manchester to come to university. And part of moving to Manchester was I had to find a place to live. And single bed places were so expensive. What the hell is this? Is this a hole? What the fuck? Uh, am I... Okay, cool. I found the Nether Void, apparently. Anyway, part of starting university was I had to move to Manchester, and moving to Manchester, I needed a place to live. And I ended up finding a house share with a bunch of students who had already done a year at university. They were moving on to their second year. And I thought, right, okay, I'll just move in with these lot. Absolute fucking nightmare. Because they were... I'm an introvert. I'm probably autistic and I like trains. These were proper students. Like, on the sesh, drinking, having a bash, way trash the house, students. And so I never really got along with them. Like, we got along enough as housemates, but aside from that, it's like, yeah, nah, I'm not that bothered about maintaining friendship with you. My schedule was, I'd go into university on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday and Friday, as well as the weekend, were my days off. Tuesday night, I think they all had Wednesday off. So Tuesday night would be the night where they'd all hang out in the kitchen, they'd all have pre-drinks, they'd have like music blasting until like 11 p.m. And then they'd all just pile into an Uber and go to town and go to different clubs and whatever. And it was so annoying because it's like, I'm trying to sleep, I need to be up for university tomorrow. And I slept downstairs. I had a downstairs bedroom that was towards the front of the house. Like, my bedroom window looked out of the front of the house. So eventually it was a Tuesday night, they all eventually piled into an Uber and pissed off. Phenomenal, I go to sleep. I always sleep with a window open. Because I like a cold bedroom. I get warm very easily. That's just a fact about me. Don't know if it's TMI, but there you go. I had my window in my bedroom open, but it was the little window. I don't know if it's a British terminology, but you know those like windows where there's, the big glass pane and then there's a window that opens and then above that is a little window that opens. Like, the big window that opens tends to open outwards like a door, but then the little window that opens tends to open upwards. I had my little window open. There we go. I had my little window open because I sleep on the ground floor. I'm not going to have the big window open because someone could climb inside. Well, they all get drinks. They all pile into an Uber. They all bugger off, and so I finally get some sleep. I've got my little window open. I'm asleep. Outside of my windows, directly outside, are the bins, which I didn't mind them being there because it just made me cleaning my room a lot easier. And I can't remember, it must have been like 2 a.m. I'm awoken by the sound of bins. Like empty plastic bins banging around outside. And I thought, what's going on? Like, is there a fox? Must be a fox. And I listen out and I'm like, is someone trying to steal our bins, or are they just someone using our bins? What's going on? And then I hear the sound of something moving, and I realise that's the sound of my window moving. And then I hear that distinct of like, have you ever jiggled the handle of like a PVC window when it's locked? It makes a very distinct sound. I heard that sound and I was like, shit, that's someone trying to get in. And I scramble out of bed and I'm panicking and I'm like, oh shit, because force of habit, I left my wallet and my house keys on the windowsill. The opposite side of the window. Like, even if you had the window open and you were like half your torso was in, you couldn't reach them. But my wallet, it still didn't change the fact that my wallet and my keys were on the windowsill. Even if they were out of range, if you were looking through the window, you would have seen them and thought, ooh, easy. It's like, shit, they're trying to like grab my wallet and my keys. They're going to try and break in. I get out of bed, I throw on my dressing gown, I yank my curtains open, and there, crouched on a bin, half leaning through my window, was one of my roommates, completely piss drunk, possibly high, I don't know, they were those kinds of partiers. And he was just staring at me with this, like, you know that, like, very befuddled look drunk people have when they're not entirely certain where they are or what they're doing? He was just looking at me and going, oh, sorry, did I wake you? No shit, you woke me up! I tried ringing the doorbell, I don't have my keys, and I don't know where everyone went, so I just thought I'd come home. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, yeah, okay, sorry I slept through the doorbell. That's one thing. But this guy's next immediate course of action was he saw my open window and thought, I can climb through that. And you know, I help him in. I just open my bedroom door. I just push him out into the hallway and I just close my bedroom door. And I think for the rest of the time I was in that house, I always had the windows on a catch. I don't think I ever slept with them open ever again. Like, genuinely terrible roommates. Like, they all seemed like typical students just out having a laugh, but like, genuinely bastards. So yeah, that's the story of how someone tried to crawl through my bedroom window. It's... Oh, God. Let's have a look at some other questions, shall we? Okay. Let's catch up. Can you do an American accent? It kind of depends on what kind of accent you want me to do. Like, I can do like this vague, kind of American, kind of broad accent. It's kind of all over the place, really. I can do more New York, you know, typical New York. Hey, I got nothing against you. I just don't like you. You know, or I can do some more kind of deep south, kind of Texas kind of accent. Y'all know. Kind of like your Sam Elliott, that kind of voice. I can do American accents. I'm not the best at them, but I can do them. By the way, are you aware that the Top Gear cars have been preserved, including the Jaguar Sports Train? Well, that'd be fun to see if that's ever like used anywhere. Would you do a video on the GWR's French engines like La France? Sounds like a fascinating subject. Post that in the Discord video suggestions. Well, I got a lot of people tagging me in stuff in stream highlights. Excluding yourself, who's the most famous person you've ever met? I met the Hairy Bikers, which I don't think anyone outside of Britain knows who the Hairy Bikers are, but they're this... Well, they were this... these two guys who did, like, this cooking show where they'd go up and down the country and they'd try, like, different things, and the whole gimmick was, like, no, there were two bikers, but they did cooking. I've got their signatures as well. I think one of them passed away a couple of years ago, which is terribly sad. Most famous person I've... So aside from the Hairy Bikers, I can't say I've come into contact with much in the way of fame. Do share Heiss's views on Shays. What's Heiss's views on Shays? Someone's going to have to enlighten me there. Speaking of NFTs, even though you'll never see this way later, what's the worst investment you've ever made? The worst investment I've ever made? Ooh, I've made some bad ones. Possibly 3 years of my life in film school. That's a pretty bad investment. No, bad investment. I can't think off the top of my head. It's one of those things where one day I'll be like, yeah, no, that was a bad thing to invest in. But off the top of my head, I can't think of it. I've invested in some bad shit, but... My ex. That too obvious a joke? I feel like it's too obvious a joke, but you know. Let me just zoom in on my fellow here. Have you heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No. It's not a story the Jedi would tell me. Is ToT a fan of the Frutiga Aero aesthetic? I have no idea what that is. What's your spice level? What spice level do you get at Nando's? Truth be told, I've only been to Nando's once, and I got the mild. Like, the most mild fucking thing ever. I don't know, I think, like, on a 5 chili rating, 2 chilies is about as far as I can go. And that's on, like, a white person chili rating as well. But I am not built for spice. How many trucks could a tow truck tow if a tow truck could tow trucks? Well, one at a time. Unless it was like a really big tow truck. Thoughts on transhumanism? Do you like the idea of immortality / a second life through technology? That's a very deep and philosophical question. I'm 50-50 on transhumanism, I guess. Like... the idea that we kind of go beyond our physical bodies is... it's fascinating. Like, genuinely fascinating. Like, the idea that we could use technology to extend our lifespans and grant ourselves abilities that we we would have not been able to have prior organically. But at the same time, what makes life precious and worth living is the fact that it's limited. Like, think of it this way. Is there a statue in your hometown? That statue's there, and it's always going to be there. And because it's always there, it's not special. It might commemorate something, it might be of a very important person, it might signify a very significant event. I'm not arguing that. Ooh, that's a big marlin. But at the end of the day, that statue's kind of always been there, and it's always there. And the idea that it's going to be there forever kind of takes away kind of just makes it not that special. The cliffs of Dover have been there forever. They're not going anywhere. Trees. Like, we can cut them down, sure, but for the most part, forests tend to stay where they are. We are finite. We have such an insignificant amount of time on this planet compared to so many other living organisms. We're not going to be here forever. If a concert played forever, you'd get tired of hearing the music. You know? I think it's incredible that we could extend our lives, but immortality, I don't think immortality is something we should be striving for. Because with life, we've got a limited quantity of it. That's why it's important you make sure the time you spend is high quality. You get what I mean? We can't increase the quantity of our life, but we can improve the quality. That's what we should focus on. You don't make it bigger, make it better. Would you, Mike, and River do a road trip where you build a small rail vehicle and drive across abandoned North American railroad? Other YouTubers have done so. I would love to just get a rail motor and just plow up like an old school railroad. Like one of those abandoned railroads that goes through like Utah and Nevada. Like just speeding along. I'd love that. That was the Hudsons, not the Mohawks. Sorry, I'm so used to... I've been reading a lot on the Rexall train because I want to do a video on it. Mohawks from the Hudson's different, I apologise. I'm going to see a family friend from England tomorrow. He grew up in BR steamed diesel era, so is there anything you'd like to ask him while I'm there? I mean, if he was a big fan of the railways, it might be worth asking him, like... Was there like an attitude shift? I feel like that's something a lot of people don't quite grasp when, like, changing from steam to diesel. Was steam engines, you know, they've got so much character and personality and how things work. Was there ever, like, a vibe change when it came to getting on a train? Or was it just, oh, it's a diesel heading this one, that's cool. Because those are the things you can't get anymore. Like, you can't get someone's emotional feelings from a textbook. If you get what I mean. Like, don't get me wrong, there are lots of people who have recorded, like, history and this, that, and the other from their point of view and how they feel, but for the most part, when you look in railway circles, it generally tends to be more, like, fact-based stuff that sticks around. So, just ask them those kinds of questions. What's the goofiest locomotive you've ever seen? In person... Ooh. Possibly a Fairly. They're pretty odd. Like, being double-ended, they're goofy. They're cool, but they're goofy. Oh, let me... blow my nose. Got, like, something rattling around in my nose. Let me just... There we go. Sorry. Didn't inhale properly when I had my daily dose of cocaine earlier. What's your favourite movie? You don't have to be... if you don't have one, just name one of your favourite movies. My favourite movie kind of fluctuates day to day. It depends what mood I'm in. Love Pirates of the Caribbean. Can't go wrong with Pirates of the Caribbean. But if I had to pick a favourite, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It's just a magic trick. The whole movie is just a magic trick. Because, like, there's these 2D cartoon characters. They're just these 2D cartoon characters interacting with the real world. And there are so many minute things that, like, you miss on a first-time viewing that they did, that really brings the story together. And it's such a phenomenal film. Genuinely such a phenomenal film. I consider it a perfect movie. And that's not even an exaggeration. It's a perfect film. Raiders of the Lost Ark, perfect film. Mad Max Fury Road, phenomenal film. Oh, other movies. Buster Keaton's The General. It's a classic. Consider doing Thomas content, answer that question. Got that. I can't... Hold on, has something happened to my feed here? Or are people just asking me the same questions over and over? Yeah, people are just asking me the same questions again and again. I can't tell if... Hold on, let me just check something real quick. I can't tell if my stream is bugged slightly or if the questions are just starting to loop. Yeah, no, these... I don't know. I think these questions might have just looped. either it's looped or people are just asking me the same questions over and over. So I'm going to end the Q&A. Sorry if you put a question in the Q&A I didn't read, but for whatever reason it's bugged. So I'm going to start another Q&A. Just see if anyone's got any more questions they want to ask me. But other than that, I think I've answered most of the questions you guys have asked me. I'm not seeing any more questions popping up in the Q&A. Between you, Mike, and River, who is the most brain-rotted? We're all brain-rotted on different levels. Like, Mike is very sort of retro technology, very kind of hipster, kind of furry brain-rotted. River's very sort of Fortnite brain-rotted. And I'm very much like ironically brain-rotted, I guess. I'm aware of brain rot, but I'm not like Ohio Skibbity Riz brain rot. Thoughts on the Black Hills Central Railroad? Again, don't know what that is. I should probably know, but I don't. Thoughts on Totsune Miku? What can I say? I'm feeling Miku. Ooh. If you were to be an animal, what animal would you be? Bear. Either a cat or a bear. Because I'm tall, broad, and a bit fat, and hairy, like a bear. But also I'm just lazy, like a cat, so somewhere between those two. Does the future possibilities for AI scare you? And if so, what scenario is the scariest? I think with AI, what scares me the most is a lot of creative industries using it. And, like, relying heavily on it. Like, kind of like how CGI in movies has become, like, a massive thing. I worry that people are going to use, like, AI to generate backgrounds and AI to generate certain scenes and shots and whatnot. Because I've seen some impressive stuff made with AI. I can't argue it generates results. But with things like film and media and TV and storytelling, you can do so much with a camera that you can't do with AI. And given how quick so many studios are to just burn bridges and... I don't know. I worry AI... I worry that it's going to be used heavily by people who are going to just exploit it. Wow, that's a big swordfish. Like, people who are counting pennies and seeing, oh, we can generate the exact same quality product, but by typing in what we want in a machine instead of commissioning an artist. Yeah, let's do that. Humans as a species, this is going to be Train of Thought's anti-AI art rant. So you might want to bookmark this. Humans as a species have always possessed the desire to create. It's why the apocalypse in Mad Max feels so different from every other apocalypse, especially in Fury Road. Because we want beautiful things in our life. As a meteor. We want to have beautiful things in our life. And it's something George Miller understood about the apocalypse, is when there's like not a lot of stuff left, we have to cherish what is left. You look at ancient cave paintings. You look at Roman history, Greek history. Even you go back as far as like our ancient ancestors who scribbled stuff on the walls of caves using nothing more than squashed berries, blood, and possibly feces. Humans have always possessed a desire to create, to do something. It's the reason we work as a species. Even if you're not like, you don't have to compose music, sculpt statues, or draw to be creative. For some people it's gardening. For some people it's woodwork. For some people it's making video games. But for a large amount of people, creating is generally drawing, writing, telling stories, expressing ourselves emotionally through what we create. And just saying, oh, you want a picture of this? Well, I've created something that can just create this picture in an instant. Or, oh, you want something that expresses this emotion? Well, you just type this emotion in on a machine and it'll generate a picture of that emotion. It's taking away something fundamentally human, which is both our desire and our ability to create beautiful things ourselves. I look at the paintings of Van Gogh and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. That's a painting. Neat. It's some sunflowers in a vase. Cool. Good work, I guess. But to Van Gogh, those works meant something. He was expressing himself in a way. And yeah, surface level, it's like, oh, it's a painting of some flowers, cool. But when you truly think about it for a moment, when you contemplate how they're feeling, that's a slice of someone's soul they've put on a canvas. Motherboards, silicon, copper and gold wires, that's not a soul. And AI basically is taking away this desire to create this tool that can just instantly generate art defeats the point of art. Because saying, oh, you don't need to draw or paint or write anymore because we can just generate it. Well, then what's the point? If we don't get to tell stories that are personal, if they don't have any kind of grounding or meaning to anyone, if it's just a collection of everyone else's stories just kind of mushed together, it means nothing. I don't know, that's my little AI art rant. What's your favourite Welsh narrow gauge engine? Ooh. Prince. You know, the little tender tank engines on the Festiniog Railway. Love them. Got a large Stingray. Best Thomas movie in your opinion? Pass. ToT, if you woke up tomorrow and found out you've been turned into a train, what would you do? Well, it depends what kind of train I've been turned into. Don't think I could do much, because I'm a train. Would I have sentience? Would I be able to move on my own? But it's too vague. But I probably wouldn't be happy. I kind of like having hands. What game are you looking forward to playing, unrelated to trains? Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4. Toby Fox says they should be coming out this year. I want to play them. I want to play them so bad. Hold on, I don't think I've got any bait on my... Yeah, I've not got any bait. Let me just reel this in. Yeah, no, I want to play Deltarune so bad. The new Deltarunes. I think someone asked me as well, would I play them on stream? I'm going to nip it in the bud, no. There are some games that I... Especially a game that involves, like, a bunch of characters talking. I feel the need to do the voices of the characters. And I feel like that can get grating from time to time. You know, so it's like... plus, it's a game I want to enjoy. I want to indulge while I play the game. Yeah, it's something I want to play in my own time and experience for myself. That's all. Upgrade those. I am happy with the rod I have. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I've got the fishing buddy. Nice. What have I... There we go. Let's go on an adventure over here. Okay. Birds or fish in any situation? Birds. Ever had inspiration from channels as of at Great Whale that formed a video archive? Hold on. Ever had inspiration from channels as of at Great Railways that formed video archive of rail before the internet? Am I having a stroke, or am I reading that weirdly? I mean, I'm glad there are rail archives. I'm glad people have been archiving railway stuff. What do you think about colonial Indian railways? Colonial railways are always so fascinating. Because it's like, hey natives, we're here colonizing your land. Oh, by the way, here's a giant metal beast that we're gonna need to, like, tear down a whole bunch of, like, your natural land in order to make way for these things. I know, I don't know much about colonial Indian railways, but it's definitely... It's always interesting to see different colonial attitudes of railways. If you had godlike powers to create an organic species, what creature would you make? It could be as fantastical or as grounded as you want. You know what? I would love to make owlbears a real thing from D&D. Because I bet that would be... They'd be terrifying, but they'd be amazing. Which locomotive builder do you think has the ugliest locomotives? Oh, for you it's Bullied. When you said locomotive builder, I thought you meant as like the company that built them, not like the person that designed them. Bullied's engines, I get why you say they're ugly, but at the same time, I don't think they're that ugly. Like, Bullied's Pacific engines, like, the casing on those looks really nice. Like, even the Q1s. Like, even there's a charm even to them, even though they're, like, real bare bones. There's such a charm to them, you know? But flat-out ugly engines, like... I don't think I could say there is anyone that makes just flat-out ugly engines. Most obscure British railway in your opinion? Heritage Railway or like real life... Well, I guess they're all real life, but like actual corporate entity that existed. Because there's quite a few obscure ones. There's loads of, like, tiny little, like, museum railways and, like... just places that only have, like, a 1.5 mile stretch of track. There are a few obscure railways. I couldn't name one. If it's obscure, then I wouldn't be able to name it. Can gyro monolocos be practical as maintenance equipment? If they're running on their own rails, then sure, but if... I don't know. I do need to do a video on the gyro monorails. They're just... I keep reading about them, and I can never figure out how they work. Maybe that's just a skill issue on my behalf. Does a machine's art mean something if it comes from a ghost in the machine? Going back to the AI thing, there was it was a post I saw on, like, it was a Tumblr post I saw someone screenshotted. And it's genuinely a shame that, like, people are perfecting AI art models to create better looking things. Because do you remember for a time, like the real early days of when AI was a thing, any video generated by AI looked weird. Pictures generated by AI looked weird. Like, it would be a ball of fur on a tree branch, and the tree branch connects to a building. And like, or you know those images where it's like, can you identify one object in this image? And all of it's completely unidentifiable. Because it's AI generated. And like, those pictures, I personally believe, did have some artistic merit. The idea that you fed a machine art, you fed something that has no subjective view, you fed it all this information, and you've basically said to an alien entity, this is art. Do you think you can make art? And it tries to create something, but it's completely incoherent and unrefined, and you can't tell anything. It's like seeing something in a dream. That had artistic merit, I think. Moving on the idea of Deltarune's chapters 3 and 4, all jokes aside, any thoughts on W2F Toby meant when he said he was implementing Pluie? I have no idea, but if it's Toby Fox, it'll probably be like a reference to Bluey, or there'll be some like goofy character named Pluie. I don't know. Toby Fox is really... There's one thing Toby Fox does really good, and that's joke characters. Because he just really absolutely nails the personality. Like, he knows exactly the right things to say to make a character feel real. Like, I've been watching a friend play through Undertale recently, and they got to the bit with Napstablook. You know, in the ruins when you first come across Napstablook. And it's just this ghost that's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. This really introverted and shy ghost and socially awkward. And they're like so anxious and he doesn't want to like upset you. And it's like, sorry, I'm just not really feeling it right now. Like, it's... The dialogue is so on point for just this one-off enemy that's a complete vibe. Toby's really good at making characters that are just like, yes, vibe. Are you still planning on making a video about Ernest Walther, the woodcarver who made most people? He's a really interesting guy. Again, I've not really looked into it, I'm sorry. I might look into it, but it just doesn't seem like something I'm that big into. Plus, whenever I do a video on people specifically, those videos don't generally tend to do so well. Like, I did the video on the guy that stole Cleckheaton Station. I did a video on the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. I did a video on Jesus Garcia. Those videos do poorly. Which... I do want to keep doing videos like that, but I'm less inclined to do them because of that. What do you think of Borat? Meh. Kind of just a stereotype gag character. I've got no strong opinions on him. You know, people like that possum. Yeah, it's an indie game. It's a video game. There's people like everyone. You can bring one extinct animal back. What would it be? That is a good question. That is a very, very good question. Mosasaurus. No specific reason other than I like the idea that there's just this big thing in the ocean. Just really make the ocean scary again. Like, don't get me wrong, the oceans are terrifying enough already, but we're learning more about them, and the more we learn, the less scary they are. Just put a great big monster in the ocean again. Could you do an ASMR reading of this book from 1918 called The Wonder Book of Railways? It does have some racism, so you'll need to skip over it. Man, 1918, what a time. I might have a look at the book. I'll give it a look. Can you explain Gauntlet Track? Because I can hardly see how it'd be useful over just one set of regular track. I'd have to do a special video on Gauntlet Track, because it's very niche case uses. Very niche. But it's always fascinating. Like, obviously the most common kind of gauntlet track would be in, like, Australia, where they had broad gauge, and they were swapping to standard gauge, and they had both broad and standard gauge wagons on the line, and they needed to interact in some way. Would you open and operate a restaurant that uses model trains to bring customers food? The bears shit Catholics in the woods? Yeah. Of course I would. That sounds dope as hell. Thoughts on iShowSpeed? I personally don't watch iShowSpeed. Don't really care for his content. That's just me personally. I gotta know though, like, what is iShowSpeed? Like, I know he's a guy who streams and stuff, but like, he is just built different. Like, for a long time he was just, oh, he's just some other streamer. But then I see him doing some, like, crazy shit. Like, there's that video of him, like, someone's driving, like, a Lamborghini at him, full sprint, and he jumps over it. Or, like, he's going to, like, different countries, and, like, he's surrounded by fans. Like... Oh my god, this is big. Hold on, I gotta lock in. What is this? Are you kidding me? All of that for an oyster? For God's sake. Yeah, no. I don't know. I have no strong opinions on iShowSpeed. He just seems like a guy who's just high energy, has a large following, and I can't hate him. It is not my kind of content that I enjoy, but anytime I hear iShowSpeed has done something, I'm just like, what has he done now? And it's always the most, like, batshit insane thing. How many sausage rolls do you think you could eat in one sitting? Depends how big the sausage rolls are. I've seen sausage rolls. There's a market sometimes that comes to town. There's these people that sell sausage rolls. And the sausage rolls they sell are so big. Like, the physical sausage inside them. Like, you know those cardboard tubes you get inside of, like, toilet paper? In, like, a toilet paper roll? Like, legit? It's just like... Oh, fucking... The sausage alone are, like, thicker than, like, toilet paper tubes. And I'm not talking, like, oh, thin things. I'm on about, like... You ever gotten, like, cheap toilet paper? And they always come with, like, a great bit... Like, the cardboard tube in the middle is, like, really thick. Like, real chunky sausages. So if it was those, I don't think I could eat many of them. But if you were to go to, like, Aldi and buy those, like, the pack of 8 for £1 sausage rolls, like the really cheap crap ones, I could probably down a load of them. I'm not proud that I'm fat, but you know what? If someone makes a bet, you gotta make money, you know? Man's gotta make a living. What's the most unappealing name to have? Like a human? I definitely think for a human the most unattractive name is either something that's like overly complex to pronounce, like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, because obviously I don't want to generalize, because someone might have a foreign name and that's complex to pronounce, but it's not their problem. It's like, because they're foreign, and that's just a language barrier thing. But like when someone who speaks English or in their native tongue chooses to have a really difficult to pronounce name, or that thing that annoying people do, annoying middle class people do, where they'll name their kid something like Brittany, but it'll be like spelled with like a GH. Or they'll name their kids something like Alabaster. Or Persephone. Or it'll just be like a regular name like it'll be a regular name like Jonathan, but they spell it with an F, so it's Jonathan. Like, you know, people who, oh, I like this name, but it's not interesting enough. How about I misspell it? Those people get on my nerves. Also, if you were born between 2009 and 2012, I'm so sorry that your name is Renesmee. What's an idea you had while you were drunk that you thought was amazing, but when you remembered it sober, you realised it was total shit? You'd be surprised how many ideas I have sober that I then go to sleep and wake up and realise are total shit. I don't know. I don't like remembering bad ideas, because what's the point? But if I can think of something, I'll tell you. Furry confirmed? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. I know you hate peanut butter, but can it be good in the right amount, or are you just against or are you so against its existence that you despise its use in anything, no matter the quantity? I don't hate Snickers. It's not my favourite chocolate by any means, but I'll have a Snickers. For me, it's when it's something like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. When peanut butter is like a core ingredient. Because I just don't like the taste of peanut. I don't know what it is about America where peanuts is everything either has peanuts in it or corn. Just Americans are obsessed with peanuts and corn. You can't change my mind. Another question, but here's a fact. Whenever the media okay. Do you think Mike would be more into the goth possum or the big frog in the shop? You'll have to ask him yourself. American English, broken English. Cool. Are there any future Australian topics you'd like to cover? I don't know that much about Australian railways. I might do Australian Garretts. Those seem fun. But again, I'm not Australian, so I don't know all the interesting tidbits there are to know about Australian railways. That is my curse. And can you look at the stuff I posted in stream highlights? Let's give this a look, shall we? The book in question, link to a YouTube video. Oh, that's the engine available for sale in Oregon. That's a tidy little thing. Almost 3-foot drivers. Yeah, let's get a fundraiser going. Let's buy it. It becomes the official Train of Thought engine. Okay, I'm closing the Q&A now because that's the end of all the questions. Okay, now I'm back with chat. Sorry if there were any donations or any critical things people were trying to say. But now I'm reading chat again. Let's have a couple more. Let's fish until I'm all out of stuff to fish with. Can I get up there? I think I can. There was a mushroom around here somewhere I could jump on. Here it is. Whee! I did it, Mum. I'm out of bounds. Oh, I thought there was a Twitch chat going alongside or something, hence no references to us YouTube scrubs. No, there was, I've got options to see the different chats I've got open, and one of them was the Q&A chat. What are you doing for a stream next week? If you're available next week. No idea. Debating doing train memes, but like the documentary streams, sometimes people send me memes and they've got licensed music in, and that's a big no-no. Half-Life 2, maybe? Question mark? Would you all be down for that? April, I definitely do want to do the extended Cursed Trains thing, though. The official Train of Thought engine, not ToT the official Train of Thought. Don't overcomplicate it, SMH. Oh yeah, people are asking if they can join me. I probably should have opened the lobby a while ago, but nah, it's getting towards the end of the stream. I'm so sorry if you wanted to play with me. Maybe I can play this in... I'll play this in the Discord server later. Maybe. Probably not. Who knows? Oh dear. For the subathon, how do I participate? Same way everyone participates. You watch. And you donate. And you pray that the more you donate, the longer the stream will last. Anything for a Valve game. ToT, I don't want to frighten you, but be aware, there is currently a skeleton hiding inside you! Get out! Get out! Okay, I think it's gone. My fingers and my entire body's a lot more flaccid now the skeleton's gone, but you know what? A small price to pay to get rid of that calcium demon. Hold on, what's this comment? ToT being a neglectful father core. What's that? What do you mean I'm being a neglectful father? What about me? Oh. Uh-oh. Hey, there we go. I'm not a neglectful father. I'm the best. I'd be an amazing father. D-Man, ToT, you know for a subathon I'd fuck up your life, right? You know what, D-Man? I respect the hustle. I don't know how you do it, but I know you would. Oh dear. Let's see what else chat is saying. Train of thought, can we get a Milwaukee Road and Penn Central to replace W and L in chat? I mean, that's an idea. I just like saying, can we get a Penn Central in chat? Or a Milwaukee Road. A W and an L is a different thing from a Penn Central and a Milwaukee Road. I think I'm going to keep fishing until I'm out of minnows, and then I'm happy to call it there for the night. Also, is it raining or is it just ambience? As a question I meant to ask, when's your collab with WTYP or maybe KJB? With who? WTYP or KJB? You're gonna have to spell it out. Oh, well there's your problem and kill James Bond. Sorry, I don't listen to those podcasts, unfortunately. Well, speaking of podcasts though, my roommate did show me an episode from a podcast. I'm guessing you've heard of the podcast Makeup and Murder, right? You've got to have heard of Makeup and Murder. The whole shtick is it's this woman doing her, like makeup on camera, and the entire time she's talking about serial killers and people who got away with murder and unsolved crimes, this, that, and the other. And she did an episode on a guy who deliberately derailed trains. He became a demolitions expert, and he deliberately derailed trains because he got aroused by it. And I'm kind of tempted to make a video on it, but my channel's, relatively speaking, family friendly. And I'm not sure if that's a video I could get away with making on my channel. Because again, it seems like such a strange and fascinating thing. But, oh, let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on, chat. I'm looking away. You better behave yourselves. Makeup and murders train. Yeah, the train-obsessed serial killer, Sylvester Matushka. It's the first thing that pops up when you look up Makeup and Murders Train. It's such a fascinating story. And yeah, I'm half tempted to do a video on it. I just don't know if it would be something that's appropriate for my channel. Because again, it involves talking about, you know, people getting off. Bro's the original deviant art freak. Nice. Time to launch ToT 2 for all the riskier stuff. Oh, sorry, should I didn't realise I need to make an After Dark Twitter. Oh, of course, there's Train of Thought, but there's also the Train of Thought lewd account where I every now and then post pictures of my beard and voice recordings of me saying perverted stuff. Sounds like a plan. Oh dear. Upload it to the hub. Train of intrusive thoughts. You know what? That would be something. Just me sat in a room on my own and every now and then just going, I should kick a baby. No, don't do that. That's a horrible thing to do. But my intrusive thoughts told me to do it. Which, by the way, it's okay to have intrusive thoughts as long as you do not act on them. Human brains are weird, and sometimes they just bang two ideas together that shouldn't go together. Thinking on these things isn't a crime. Acting on them is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest here. There's part of me that genuinely wants to upload all of my videos to like Pornhub or something just to see like if that brings in extra revenue. Like, I can't imagine they'd be on the site for long before they got taken down, or like people would be like, why are you uploading this onto Pornhub? You can't do that. I don't know, I feel like it would be funny. Someone's in chat's talking about someone who has like a fetish for muscular women destroying trains, which... I've seen worse. I've seen weirder. Like, we all know about the Wonder Bread guy. Here we go. Let's end the stream the way it's meant to be ended. Drinking beer. That's 2. That's 3. I'm not walking, by the way. This is just doing this on its own. dear. Upload the videos about unsafe practices in railroading because they're not safe for work. You get it. Genius. Absolute genius. Someone's asking who the Wonder Bread guy is. Oh no, I feel like I've introduced people to something they should not see or know about. It's not like traumatizing or disgusting, it's just like, huh, really? Oh dear. You know what, while I'm cracking beers, I might as well tell you. Basically, there's this guy on DeviantArt who commissions artists to draw rich and powerful women buying just loads and loads of Wonder Bread because they really enjoy the idea that Wonder Bread contains like a lot of like preservatives and like stuff that's bad for the environment and is like grown in third world countries and it's like caused a lot of suffering, and they just like the idea that these women enjoy making people suffer by buying loads of Wonder Bread. It's a very strange condition to have, and absolutely not what I thought I'd be talking about on this stream while cracking down a few cold ones, but hey, who am I to judge? Right, 9. Train of Thought's got 9 beers in him. Let's go. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I'm really tipsy. Let me... Papa needs more. Will I pass out? Will I eventually pass out from chugging beers? I'm on the floor. Let's keep going. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any more tipsy. Train of Thought, what's the most ridiculous wheel configuration you've ever seen? I don't know. Because there's some bizarre ones. I think definitely the Belgian quadruplex is insane. That's a pretty wild wheel arrangement. Yeah, I'm not passing out from all these beers. Well, that's a load of money down the drain. If I send you a model train set to your hypothetical PO box, would you accept it? Well, it's not like I can send it back, so I'll have no choice to accept it. Train of Thought, are you a train IRL? Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. This has been a pretty fun stream. Let me just switch over. I hope that's answered a lot of your questions that you've had. I hope you are pleased. I don't really know what else to say other than I hope you've enjoyed. Ugh. If you've got any more questions, tough luck. That's what this entire stream was about. Which is weird, really, because usually I end these streams by answering questions from chat. But then this whole stream has been me answering questions. It's... oh, boy. Can you do train memes next week, please? No promises. I'll consider it, but no promises. It would have been more fun if you let us join. I know, and I'm sorry. But I got too occupied answering questions. It slipped my mind. Are you a train IRL or not? Oh, whoa. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm tired and I'm hungry. Train of thought, what do you think about Tony and his infinite evilness? That is a reference I absolutely do not get. But evil is bad. Don't do evil. In fact, I was playing a card game with my friends last night, and I became spiritually enlightened. And I just kept getting rid of all the cards in my hand that were, like, really powerful. I went on, like, this full, like, dramatic Lord of the Rings monologue speech because we had Lord of the Rings music playing in the background. By the way, Howard Shore, phenomenal soundtrack. Just listen to just put the Lord of the Rings soundtrack on while you're, like, working, doing chores or whatever. Mwah. Gorgeous. It's a reference to an inside joke at my IRL work, so it makes sense. You don't get the ref. Train of thought. Next week at approximately 19 minutes past 10, you will get in a horrible accident involving scaffolding. It is your fate. What day? Give me a day. Don't be a coward. Give me a day. When am I going to die? Also, AM or PM? That's a good question. Next week, April the 5th? What do you mean next week, April the 5th? April the 5th is in 2 weeks. And I don't get out of bed until, like, 11:12. Fortune teller? I don't think so. More like fortune smeller. Got him. Zing. Woof. Bada bing, bada boom. Call me Harry Houdini, calling out these fake prophets. Yeah. I got him. I got him. Absolutely zinged. Ah. The Tugs music's playing. But I'm still gonna zing ya. Wrong week, wrong day. You thought you could foresee my future? I can't foresee myself in the next 5 minutes. I don't know what you're thinking of doing. universe is a circle. It doesn't matter anyway, it all goes back to where it started in the end. You can't foresee... You can foresee the circle, but you can't say where you are on the circle. It's a cycle. That's not how the circle works. God. I don't know what I was talking about. I'm not gonna lie, every word that just came out of my mouth was complete nonsense. I guess I'll end the stream now. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when.